this video, I'm going to outline the 3 most common mistakes that I see new horse owners make, and they are pretty scary. I don't want to scare you too much before we jump in, but I do want to acknowledge that, the stakes are high with horse ownership, and that hopefully with the advice from this video, we'll be able to avoid some of those major mistakes and help you to find some serious success with your new horse. Make sure to watch till the end for a bonus item and a little bit of extra information that will hopefully help keep you on the right track. Before we jump in, I also just want to, as always, ask you a little bit about who you are, what you're looking for, and what kind of horse you have. If you don't have a horse yet, please tell me below, and if you do have a horse, I also am curious to know kind of where you are in your journey and how long you've had a horse for, what kind of horse you have. I'm just always really curious who's watching these videos and who they're helping, so please make sure to leave me a comment below. I read all of them and I really appreciate the feedback. The first biggest mistake that I see new horse owners make is not asking for help. As an equine nutritionist, I see people all the time doing what they think is the right thing for their horse, and unfortunately they're just misinformed and misled. One really common example is people that feed a complete grain ration. The bag says to feed 2 pounds per 1,000 pounds of body weight, and they're like, yeah, but my horse is like a little overweight or whatever, so I'm going to feed less, or yeah, but my horse is a little underweight, so I'm going to feed more. And when you start messing with those things, you open up a whole can of worms you probably don't even know you're opening. The minerals and the vitamins and all of that are perfectly balanced in that 2-pound ration, and if you feed less than that, your horse is probably going to end up being deficient in some of those vitamins and minerals, and if you feed more, you risk toxicity from overfeeding vitamins and minerals. So that's just one example where I think people tend to assume that they can kind of figure out how to feed their horse correctly or what their horse needs, and in reality the stakes are just really high, and I highly recommend asking for help. Anytime you're at all unclear about something, just ask somebody, ask a professional, and most of us are more than happy to help. If you're having a hard time finding someone to ask, you can always ask me. My contact information is always in the description below, and that way I can help kind of set you on the right track. Number 2 is quitting lessons. I know I've talked about this before, but seriously, I always think the most dangerous person on or with a horse is the advanced beginner, because you know just enough to kind of get yourself into trouble, but you don't always know enough yet to get how to get out of trouble. And this tends to be there's like a tipping point where you kind of are learning, and everything's going great, and then all of a sudden you realize how much you still don't know, and the advanced beginner often hasn't quite discovered yet how much they still don't know, and they just see all the progress that they've made. And so it's really important, especially if you feel like you might be this advanced beginner type person. You can stop and go and turn and back and post, and your balance is getting pretty good. But like if your horse bucked or reared or bolted or refused to go over water or something like that, you wouldn't have the slightest clue what to do. Don't quit lessons. I can't emphasize this enough. You still have some learning to do, and a great trainer is the best possible resource you could have on your team. So definitely make sure you stay in lessons, keep learning, and that will help you avoid a lot of major mistakes down the road. Number 3 is trying to take on too much. I often see new horse owners, they want to get the green horse or the pretty horse or the athletic horse, and they don't realize all of the things that come with that, or they want to jump right into keeping their horse at home. Check out my video about that here. But unfortunately, when we do that, we often just set ourselves up for failure. Horses are so much responsibility, and I always recommend that you ease yourself into it slowly. I always recommend people lease a horse before they buy, to make sure that they can kind of try out the lifestyle, because it really is a lifestyle. Horses, I really believe, are not just pets. They are a full-time job and a full-time obsession and lifestyle. And until you've been there, you just don't always understand how much work they really entail. And I just always recommend that people just come in slowly, make sure you have support, make sure you're making choices that set you up for the least work possible in the beginning, and then you can always add more work. But the problems really arise when you come in full force, jump right into the deep end, and then you realize you're in too deep and you don't know how to get out. So wade in slowly to keep with the metaphor, and make sure that you have, you know, your lifeguard, your trainer there to help you so that you don't end up, you know, becoming too overwhelmed and not knowing what to do next. As promised, the bonus item here is anthropomorphizing your horse. And I really think we do this out of empathy and out of, you know, wanting to, you know, kindness and generosity toward our horses. But it's really important to remember that humans are social predators and horses are social prey animals. And so while we're both social and we both want to be with each other, we have really different motivations. We see the world really differently. We have really different needs. And it's just really important to make sure that you're being careful not to assume that because you want something or like something or crave something that your horse is feeling the same way, and that you really take some time to learn what horses really want and what motivates them and how their brains work, because they are really different from ours. And on that note, look out for my next video, which is going to be all about that exact topic, and I'm going to help you understand what your horse really wants from you and from your relationship so that you can better serve your horse, rather than from a human perspective, more from a joint human-horse relationship perspective. All that said, if that video is helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, because the more of that happens, the more people like you get to see this information, and my mission is always to help as many horses and people as I possibly can with real, whole information, help them to become more mindful and careful and thoughtful horsemen and to do right by their horses. So I really appreciate any of the sharing that happens of this video, and I'll see you in the next one, which again is going to be all about what your horse really wants from you and how to give that to them so that you can have a better horse-human relationship.